Welcome back. So today is shaping out to be a great day. Even after the FOMC press conference, it's still green. So let me summarize what was said, why Wall Street and everyone is very hopeful, and why everyone's buying, and why today is so different than previous FOMC meetings. And what does this mean overall for crypto? Let's talk about all of it. First things first, like I said, I was going to stream on the Pump.Fund platform, which I did. And, you know, just watching Powell say what he's said, there's a lot of, I don't know what's the right word to put it. He's not nearly as confident as before. He was asked some hard questions that he didn't know how to answer. He was in a very awkward position. And he was trying to straddle both sides, trying to be neutral as possible. But those questions were hard. But basically, what it comes down to is him and the rest of the Fed agreed to a cut. They're leaning to more cuts, 2 more, right? The new appointee, Stephen Moran, I found out he's the only one that voted for a 50 basis point cut. Everyone else wanted a 25 basis point cut. So obviously, he's very pro cuts, right? So that's the bottom line. So Powell basically said during Q&A that he's in a weird position, a unique position, I think he said, because yes, inflation is going up because of tariffs, but also jobs, you know, softening. The labor market has softened quite a lot. Unemployment is ticking up, and he anticipates to keep going up, and then it'll come down next year. But he recognized that jobs market is just bad right now, and you know, he tried to soften the blow by saying this: there's not a lot of jobs out there, but not a lot of companies are firing either. So that's the good thing. But he's afraid if the economy gets worse and once the layoffs do happen, then it's going to be really bad because there's not a lot of jobs for them, right? But basically he was saying, I have to weigh the two. What could get worse faster? What should I save? Because the only 2 things that the Fed cares about is jobs and inflation. Really, that's it. Or price stability, but basically inflation. So, and he determined, him and the rest determined that jobs could get a lot worse, a lot faster, so that's what they're going to say, that's why they're cutting, right? So, he was definitely not hawkish. Traditionally speaking, his tone, usually, and his language is usually very hawkish, meaning that even if he cuts, he's very cautious about saying what's coming, and things could change, they need more economic data. He didn't really do that this time. You could kind of tell this is the most kind of like defeated Powell in an FOMC press conference I've ever seen. It was really quite weird. Now, what made it more awkward was some of the questions he was asked during the press conference. It wasn't so much about the rates, it was about like the appointees, the new Stephen Moran. You know, he is still a White House advisor. So one of the things he was asked, like, well, you know, there's supposed to be a separation between the Fed and White House. You know, how do you make sure that this is not going to be a problem? Powell said he's not going to answer that. There was other things that was asked too about, you know, Stephen Moran's like overall bullishness on cutting or accelerated cutting versus everyone else. Powell dodged that question. Yeah, and there was a lot of questions around like politics, right? It made Powell very uncomfortable. Same thing with tariffs, you know, like a lot of people were just like trying to make it a little bit too political. Like they had an agenda to try to like get him to say something bad, and then they'll use that. So it was very uncomfortable for Powell, to say the least. But overall, him and others made the right decision. We got the rate cut, and they're very leaning to two more rate cuts. So pretty much baked in. And then he showed a lot of dots and a lot of charts that show that inflation should be ticking down next year, and jobs, I think, is ticking upwards, or unemployment will be ticking down too. That's what he is showing. These are estimates, of course, right? We don't really know. And you know, the Supreme Court shoots down the tariffs, so I don't even know what's going to happen then, right? It's just a lot of unknowns at this point. But anyways, despite all this confusion, Wall Street and I guess Wales took this very positively, right? I told you guys, I warned you guys, traditionally during FOMC press conference we get volatility, afterwards we get red, and next day we get red. But today we got the exception. This whole week has been really bullish, so overall this is a good surprise, right? We didn't see immediately. During the FOMC meeting, it was very volatile. You saw Bitcoin go up and down. It went as low as 114 once again. But just now, it's been climbing back up. It just hit 117. A lot of the alts started coming back up. Sol had a big recovery. Same thing with Sui had a big recovery. Many others had a big recovery today. And it just seems like everyone got a sigh of relief. They now know he didn't say anything that would be bad, that hinted that there's no more rate cuts or anything like that. No. So that's all a picture. So it's very similar to what happened last year. Last year, September, he had that he announced that 50 basis point cut, and we had a few more cuts afterwards, and markets were soaring. The one of the most bullish times we've ever seen. From that September point to October, leading to November, December, it was really, really good. Except December. At December, end of December, that's when things changed because he paused the hikes or something like that. But it's looking very like the same kind of setup right now. Same kind of setup, very, very similar. So it's good. It's good. So what's going to happen tomorrow and Friday? Well, I don't know. Seeing how today is green, hopefully tomorrow continues to green. Unless you get a fake out and tomorrow turns red. But, you know, this whole week, yesterday, I thought it was going to be volatile and red. Turned out to be green today. I thought so too, and actually turned out to be green. These are good surprises. I'm glad to be wrong in these cases. I was just going by history because previous FOMC meetings show the same thing. And history indicates tomorrow should be red too. But you know what? Maybe we just get a huge rally day tomorrow, and I don't think anyone would mind that outside of the bears. And then Friday, we may even get something better with, not better, but something that helps push things even more upwards, is a possible trade deal with China. And both sides are at it right now. And supposedly there's going to be a big phone call on Friday. We'll see. Maybe something big gets announced then. All right. Outside of that, that's really it. It's quite an interesting day. Things went better than expected. Pretty dovish Powell. Pretty confused Powell. A non-confident Powell today. He was just very uncomfortable. You could tell. He's probably thinking, yeah, I'm out of here. Oh, another question was asked, like, is there anything that's going to change your mind or something about staying in your post? Would anything make you leave your post before the deadline or something? You know, he just dodged that question too. Like, he was just asked a lot of really uncomfortable questions. Anyways, that is it, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll probably be streaming again. I've been streaming every night. Some Clash Royale, but today I'm feeling extra tired. I may not. I may do it for like just a little bit. Again, that's on my pump.fun account. Outside of that, that's it. Or if I don't see you guys tonight, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye-bye.